Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Gamer Social Club Weekly News Podcast. Today is the 8th of May, 2025. It is a Thursday, late in the evening here in the UK. I am your host, as always, Harry, aka Neighbours Crayfish. And we are a trio this week. We are one man down. Mark is not with us today. He is busy. He's a family man. And of course, he's needed elsewhere, and that's fair enough. But you've got the three of us. And so joining me today, I've got uh, the real spirit of the North. It's Adam, aka Oh no, not Addy. How you doing, pal? Thank you.
I love video dudes. That was very nice. Very
Thank
well done.
you.
How long have you been thinking about that?
I
That's what I
thought of it
want.
last night. I did think of it
Yeah,
last
that's
night.
right.
Yeah. You know,
No,
I,
I'm good though. I'm good. Yes. Good to see you guys. Good to chat.
you
It
too.
feels like it's been a while, but it probably hasn't. But like, yeah.
It's been a very busy week for all of us, as I'm sure not only Adam will agree, but also, of course, the third leg of this tripod, which is, of course, no, never empathy, only daggers, is Lady V. How are you, V?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Yeah, it has been a super busy week, and I
Yeah.
feel like I haven't actually seen. At least I've not seen you, Addy, in a while because
It
you
was
replaced me with a bald Australian man last week. So
we had a ball of
um,
man. Yeah, that is it.
like,
We did, yeah. We had your doppelganger.
my doppelganger. Okay, like
Hard to understand accent. I think that was it.
yeah, you needed a different accent. It's just like
That's right.
so
You can only be
you
on
can
the
replace me with
guest
anyone. It's
podcast if
like
you've got a difficult accent.
yeah.
Well, that's it, yeah. Yeah, and then after that, we've got Canadian and we've got American. I think that's our pool at that point. We could go by state maybe with America if we start getting a bunch of those guys on. But otherwise, we'll run out of accents pretty quickly, I think, unfortunately.
Yeah, so you do have to have either the Australian or the Scottish person on at any given time,
Mm-hmm.
so that people can struggle to understand parts of the podcast. You know, like it helps if they have to backtrack to see what I've tried to say. Like,
Anchor beings for the podcast. Just
That's it. That's the long game. But yes, if this is the first time you stumbled across us, we are the Gamer Social Club. We are a website that covers all things gaming, from news and interviews to previews, reviews, guides, and editorials. You can find us at www.gamersocialclub.ca. We are just three members of it. We are a small team. We are a plucky little grassroots crew that is sort of learning as we go, but we're passionate and love doing what we're doing and sharing our passion with all of you. And we meet up once a week here on the Weekly News Podcast to sort of catch up a bit on what we've been playing, talk a bit about what the big stories are in the week, and then what we're looking forward to as well. And of course, all of that sort of stuff will be down below alongside the rest of what is referred to as the rigmarole, which I will go through a bit quickly here. Of course, if you enjoyed today's episode, please consider liking it. And if you have any questions for us or any feedback, please drop it in the comments below. And if you'd like to see more content like this and the occasional guides we do put out as well, we do video ones on occasion, consider subscribing to the channel. And we'll hopefully get more content up as time goes on. Alongside that, obviously, we've mentioned the site. Obviously, all our written work is there. And that's predominantly where we do our stuff. We've put up a lot in the last week, and particularly today, actually. We had a big bumper crop of reviews and guides for several games that we're going to talk about. The three of us have all been playing them, and so yeah, you're going to get a nice bit of coverage there if you're interested. And then yeah, we'll talk about some of the bigger topics of the week. When it comes to the news and stuff like that as well, it's good to know about us that we run it all through a filter of no leaks and no rumors and things like that generally. Or we cover some leaks if it's from an official source, but we like to make sure that anything that we're talking about is credible. So whenever you come to us, you know that what you're getting is the facts and not just some hearsay. And again, we are a little independent crew. We're doing it all off our own backs currently right now, doing what we can, and we really appreciate any sort of support and your time, basically. So thanks very much, everyone. I think that's everything out of the way. Oh, quickly, socials, of course. We are on Twitter at gamer_s_c, and we are on things like Threads and Blue Sky at Gamer Social Club. Just search for us there like that. And again, all our socials as well for us individually will be down below in the description as well. And I think we're done there. I think that's it. I think that's the rigmarole. There we are. So let's get into what we've been playing. Anybody feel strongly about wanting to start this one off? All three of us have got a game I think we want to talk about.
They all technically released today, the games that we've been reviewing. So
exactly, yeah. So I think the first one, the one that got any sort of early access was yours, right, V?
Yeah, Revenge of the Savage Planet got 4 days early access. I think it was, well, I think they actually got 3 days early access. It was supposed to be 4, but they had some issues with the early access on Monday. So if you had pre-ordered, you were supposed to get early access on Monday, but I think they were having some issues with it. Yeah.
Well, that's a bit of a shame. But why don't you give us a bit of a rundown on your experience with Revenge of the Savage Planet? Obviously, you've got your review up on the site, and we'll link that below as well. But just give the folks a bit of a taster.
Yeah, so Revenge of the Savage Planet is a sequel. So I think Journey to the Savage Planet, it came out in 2021, I believe. And it's like, it's a satire of extreme capitalism and corporate greed gone wrong, but dressed up in a very, very funny package where you are sent off to a planet to presumably strip it for all of its resources for your corporate overlords. And, probably a look into the future of humanity, to be perfectly honest, although I'm sure there will be less goo in the future, and it will be less fun. But it was a really fun game. I had a lot of fun with it when it came out. I played huge amounts of it during the pandemic, and they've just come out with a sequel that is more focused around co-op. So the first one did have co-op, but this one is like jump in and out of co-op whenever you want, and you get to go to more planets. So there's not just one planet that you're stuck on. There are 4 planets that you can explore, with lots of weird and wonderful little creatures that you can just boot halfway across the map. Just find something really cute, instead of exercising any sort of curiosity about what it might be or anything like that. Just kick it right in the face. And you get quite a lot of achievements for doing that, actually. So the game really rewards the animal cruelty this time around. But yeah, I had a super fun time with it. It's a little bit shorter, I felt, than the first game, although I think if you're just mainlining the story of the first one, is probably about the same length of time. But the first one had like a speedrun achievement and things like that, which is more difficult to implement given the fact that there's more planets and stuff on this one. But there is also a lot more like movement options and things like that. By the end, if you unlock all of the upgrades, you have like a rocket booster, but your little robot companion Echo that follows you around, she can just act as like a grapple point from anywhere. So you can just sprint across the map and then triple jump into the air and then just grapple across to get to all the collectibles and stuff like that you've not. There's probably a genuine route to get to them, but it sort of encourages you to sort of break the level design a little bit by just brute forcing your way up the side of a wall or something like that, which I found quite fun. And there's some achievements around doing stuff like that as well. So stringing together all of your moveset. And you can, if you don't want to kick the creatures in the face all the time, you can actually capture them in this one, and put them in a little pen back at your base and go in and pet them and stuff like that. And research on them, do animal testing. So
of course,
to unlock more upgrades. Yeah. So I think
lords require it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, and it's not as if you are not completely like disposable as well. So there's like a respawn mechanic, which I did not see until doing some of the DLC achievements that require you to die. Because I do think it's slightly easier than the first one. I didn't die when I was playing it at all. But if you do die, you just get 3D printed in the Meatomatic 3D printer. And then you can go out and just like find your dead body and loot it for resources in the middle of the map, which is fun. But yeah, it's a really fun experience. I didn't get a chance to play it in co-op. I was supposed to play with Fraze, but then he got tied up in, because you will see if you go to the website, we've been super busy this week. But I know Dano and Jamie played a little bit of it in co-op for some guides, and they said it was super fun. So I'd be looking forward to potentially, if I ever get any free time again for the rest of my life, jumping into it in co-op with some folk from the site and just messing around. And I assume you could probably kick each other off ledges and stuff, which would be fun.
I would hope so. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
that sounds.
it's super fun little game. It's just a very gamey game. It's not. There's no airs and graces about it. It's not trying to tell like a really deep or interesting story, although there is a story to it and it's quite fun. But it's just like here's a big playground and loads of movement options and so much goo, like, and go and just coat that monkey with a bum for a face and goo and watch it explode. Like,
Good stuff. I love that. I remember enjoying the first one. I never did anything like the speed runs or anything like that, but I really enjoyed it. I think there were the two different endings you could get as well, and things like that. And I definitely want to try this one out, knowing that there's co-op as well, like a more sophisticated co-op. Definitely is a big pull, because again, especially because my kids are getting more into games now as well, and those sorts of games I think are kind of ideal for playing with kids, where there's consequences for actions, but ultimately the actual penalty for doing anything is so minimal. Like as you say, you just get respawned and you just go and find your dead body and get your stuff back, and you're back to where you were. It's like, yeah, it's fine. It's a laugh.
It does have online co-op, but it does have split scene co-op as well. So there is local co-op, which I think is great, because I do love co-op in games, but so many of them now it's just online only, and I don't frequently have people in my house, but it would be nice to have some games available so that we don't end up just playing Halo or having too many beers and trying to play GoldenEye badly. Like,
Fair enough. There's a time and a place though for that sort of thing. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, and I love the fact that you had a lot to say as well about the achievements, because again, all three of us have been very much doing the guides at the same time, so it's hard not to be thinking about like all the achievements that we've been dealing with as well as we're talking about these. But no, like I absolutely, like I read your review and I was interested in it. Andy, did you play the first one at all? Is this one you're interested in?
I had the first one, and then I think it left Game Pass, and I didn't finish it before it left Game Pass, and I didn't get around to buying it yet to play it. So I want to play it more, but I just have yet to follow up on it. So and then there's a DLC for the first one, isn't there, as well?
The Employee of the Month edition then came to Game Pass. I think it's still on Game Pass.
Yeah, I did.
Which has got the built-in DLC of the first one, and the new one is on Game Pass. It launched on Game Pass, so
I will definitely go back to that.
If I remember correctly as well, I think the first one was one of the sort of games that was a bit of a big get for Game Pass, because it was I think it was like announced as like day one on Game Pass, and it was one of the first new IPs that was announced in itself, and that announcement followed up like immediately of like, and it's on Game Pass, and everyone was like, whoa, okay, cool, Xbox is making moves here. So yeah, that I think was like one of the first times that we had that sort of situation, which is cool. But yeah, definitely want to check that out. And again, we'll make sure the reviews down below, as we will with the next one, which we'll turn to Adam to tell us all about. What were you playing, buddy?
What have I been playing? I've been playing Spirit of the North 2, which I never played the first one. It left Game Pass before I could get to it. I bought it for £2 because it was on sale on Xbox Store, and it was like, well, I'm going to play it at some point. And then the opportunity to play this one came up, and I thought, screw it, I won't even play the first one. I'll just dive in, because the people I look on Steam, and the first one gets like quite positive reviews and stuff. And it, what's not to like? You fluffy little fox, and you run around with a little bird companion, and you go all Nordic and ethereal on shit. So who doesn't want to do that? So I give it a go, and I didn't know quite what to expect. And my first impression of the game was the first opening cutscene was at rapid speed, incredibly fast, and at high pitched noise.
Oh,
that was the music, and because it was like going 100 miles an hour, I don't quite know what was going on. So it was meant. I think it was meant to be quite like mystical and stuff like that. And it just went, and like, it's rough then. So I started playing it, and I really like that you can customize your fox, and you can give him the fluffiest tail, which is lovely. Which I did, obviously. But then so the I don't. I really enjoyed it, like in parts, and then there were other parts that just infuriated me. So, like, as from my understanding, the first game is not an open world game. It's quite linear. There's levels. You can do it in 5 hours, 6 hours, or whatever.
Yeah.
And then this one is like an open world, so it's like a big land, but it's broken into different areas that are one's like very rainy, and there's one that's like been caught on fire. I don't know why it's on fire. No one tells you why it's on fire.
You gotta have a fire.
Do you ever
zone.
know why something's on fire though?
But
Like
the whole place was on fire.
realistically,
There was like trees on fire and shit, and like, why is this place on fire? You can't just call it Ashland and then say, well, that's why. Like it's on fire. Why?
classically not flammable trees. Like,
Anyway, there's a lot of variety in the. There's like a really nice green, shiny, sunny place, and then there's a snowy area, and I love a snowy area, but it was a bit barren. Like there's a lot of nothing in a lot of the area, and like a lot of running around, and I felt a bit tedious. Like it's if you're looking for something to just like tranquilly run around, then great. Like, but like because I've played a lot of games where there's lots of stuff hidden in all the nooks and crannies and stuff, and I knew there was things to find in this, so I was looking for things, and I got to like, oh, I found a pot and it had some crystal in it. Like, oh, I've done what felt like quite an involved puzzle. Figured out where this hidden cave was and done it all, and I got some more crystals. And like, could you not give me a skill point or a collectible or something, please? I don't know. There was bits that I really liked. Like when you got inside, the idea is that you're trying to. I don't know. I read somewhere that it might be the same guy from the first one. There's a baddie in the first one. I don't know. But you accidentally unleash this guy called Grimnir, who's like a shaman, and he's got some issues basically. And he then enslaves the animal guardians around the thing, and you've got to go kind of. You're basically you're like a fox therapist. Basically, you're healing the trauma of the animals, and in doing so, they become an ally to help you take on Grimnir, and then you save the world. But like, I don't know what when you save them, when you beat them in a boss battle, that's how you save them. And the bosses are quite fun because they're not just attack, it's varied and stuff like that. But like then you touch noses, and then he has a flashback of what actually happened to the animal, to the fox, and then he's fine. So
that sounds like every session of therapy I've ever been to.
Yeah. So you touch noses, therapist,
trauma healed. Like
what happened, and everything's fine.
That's £150. Thank you.
The one with there's a bear, and you touch nose with the bear, and it gives you these stills of what happened to the bear, and it's like, oh, like Grimnir kind of enslaved him and traumatized him, like, and that felt quite clear. But there's some others like I don't quite know what happened and why it was traumatic for this animal. And then
I assume the one in the fireplace is because they set all of its home on fire.
Well, no, it was the bear, and it doesn't even loot a fire. Like I don't. And then there's like it felt there was some real opportunities to do some really interesting stuff. Like at the start, it felt quite intense. Like you free Grimnir by accident, and then it all kicks off. Like lava comes out, and you're running away, and it all like, oh shit, it's going down, sort of thing. And then the bear chases you off a cliff. Like this bear that you fight later on. And you think, oh god, is it going to be like? Are either of these going to appear again while you explore? You don't see him again. You don't see him again until the very end. Like the bear appears, he's chilling in some lava like a normal giant bear would, and then Grimnir is just chilling, just floating around. I thought, where's the jeopardy? Like I'm just running around this big open world with like, oh, I'm going to chase this flower, and look, the mushrooms are popping up. I'm going to follow these around. Like it just feels a bit there's like disconnect. Like there's no, every so often when you that joke about you doing Skyrim and like, oh, we need to do something because the world's going to collapse. Like, oh, let me just go pick up this bag of flour before I go do that. And like, yourself with nonsense. It kind of looked like that, and. Yeah, and some of I found the controls finicky and faffy. I encountered a lot of issues with it. It was like there's like two types of jump. There's one where you look at a platform and and there's like a little cursor and it jumps for you, so you can make slightly higher jumps or targeted jumps, so you're not just kind of missing. So I get that in concept, it doesn't work. oh, it doesn't work as it should do, because every so often I'd press to do it and he'd just do a normal jump and it threw me off and I fell off or whatever else because I was like, oh yeah, I'm making the jump, and it didn't make the jump, and then it was finicky, and then I lost an hour of my progress because it's got like these checkpoints where you kind of like Dark Souls, you find like a fire area temple, it activates, and then if you die, that's where you spawn last. And then I died, and I didn't spawn there. I spawned an hour previous to where I was before, and all of the progress and stuff that I'd done hadn't remained. So I do it all again. I'm like, well, like what? But there's no weird glitching around it. It just stopped. I was 13 hours into it, logged in to play it to carry on, and all of my map had reset. Like as you work through the map, it clears it. So like there's loads of fog all over the map. And I think I said when I was talking to somebody, like it felt quite overwhelming because you don't know what's behind the map. So you don't know, is it all land? It's quite a big map, and there's some water and stuff, so it doesn't feel as big. But I thought, oh, I'm making progress, and I log in, and it's all clouded over again. But all of my markers where I'd been were there, but like I couldn't react to these like Assassin's Creed type obelisks where you kind of clear parts of the map, but you couldn't reactivate them to clear it again. So like I had to like just run around in it and open the map up again just to see where I'd been or where I am. It was just a bit like, and just like that. There's issues with the sound. There's issues with the video. There's issues with kind of like the gameplay stuff. I selected to view this rune on the wall, and it just kind of each kind of like the camera just panned in and just went past the fox and past the wall, and then just stuck there. Like I can't even see what I'm meant to be looking at. I'm looking at a grey wall. Like so when it worked, you're exploring these kind of there's like caves and crypts and stuff, and it's quite nice how it indicates it on the map, like this big red ribbon that comes out, and you go there and you find a key item and you take it to like the temple, and you go into the temple, and that's where you fight the boss. And that's quite nice. And you go into them, and the puzzles and stuff are they're quite satisfying to solve. And then you go back outside, and you're like, oh, I've got to run across the map, and there's a red wisp that I have to find. It's taking me in the wrong direction, but I need the wisp to up the ancient tree to get a skill point so I can fly for 2 seconds longer and all that sort of stuff. But it's just I really enjoyed the boss battles. I enjoyed the inside stuff, and there's a lot of stuff to like in it. But the stuff that went wrong and that infuriated me really annoyed me because it's like there's a lot. I love like the Nordic setting. I like that sort of stuff. I spent a lot of time in Norway in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I didn't want to leave. Like it was very nice and pretty. But yeah, runes and all that sort of stuff. And there's like this lore, but it's all via scrolls. And like I know Mark doesn't like story by collectible. And like with Midnight, I think it works really well. But in this, it's just like there's just no story really. Like there is a story, but you have to figure it out. I don't quite. What I said about the tropes, I've just figured it out. Like that's what my interpretation of it. Like I don't know. I don't know why Grimnir get activated by me discovering him by accident. I don't know why he then. What did the animals become traumatized as a result of what he did after I activated him, or were they already traumatized for something he did when he was alive and then he's come back? I don't quite. Yeah, but it just feels a bit. They feel like they needed some more time to cook with it. I think, and it's yeah. I give it a 6.5. I think if the issues had resolved themselves, it could go up another point maybe. But there's stuff around the story and the traversal stuff that I still found a little annoying. But it's not terrible. Just yeah. But I did find it quite enjoyable in places. So.
Yeah, I mean it's a big shift from the first one, definitely. As you said, it is a much more linear experience where, there's a little bit of sidetracking. You know what I mean? It's like very basic stuff where it's like, oh, it's 2 parts, one's a dead end. Like that's the sort of thing you're dealing with in that game. Whilst this one, as you say, is kind of gone for the classic kind of open world, bit of a Ubisoft formula of using towers to uncover the map, different location markers and stuff like that. Yeah.
It looks they're really nice in places. Like when there's a screenshot, there's a shot I didn't realize I got it in my review, and there's a shot in the kind of like rainy bit, and there's a bit like a forked lightning bolt going down. Like stood on a cliff, and you can just see it in the distance. Like that's quite a nice shot. And there's some like really bits like that. And I was running through, and Aurora Borealis is going on at the top, and like that's really nice to like running around in with your little bird friend flying behind you, and the point where it rained, and there's like a rainbow, and like every so often I like get the photo mode out. I want to get a photo sort of thing. It's like there's stuff like that. Like yeah, it's nice, and the music's it's very Breath of the Wild in terms of every so often there's like a flourish of a bit of song or a bit of music, so that just kind of punctuate something was going on. But there's some really nice design choices in there. It's just marred by the nonsense, I think. Yeah.
That's a
You
shame,
know,
but yeah.
running around like a fox. I was going, I'm not a cat, so what am I supposed to do? Like, I can't climb these things well.
Can't expect this from me. No, it does sound like something that I would probably still be interested in trying out anyway, and hopefully they get to, like, I think as you said in your article, there's like in your review, sorry, they are aware of a lot of these issues, and so hopefully
There was a date. I think it came out today. It's not working on Xbox yet. I don't know if it comes out tomorrow on Xbox, but a 4 gig patch dropped
sizable. Yeah.
this morning. So they've definitely said that they were patching it, and sounds like they might have done something. I haven't seen any patch notes or anything yet, but they're certainly going to be working on it from the looks of things.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Anyway, yeah. You've obviously got Addy's review and a whole slew of guides that he's been working very hard on. So yeah, please go check all those out. And with V as well. Both V and Adam, and as V said, Dano and Jamie have also been writing guides. So nearly the whole team is basically doing guides and reviews this week. It's been pretty crazy. Yeah. You know, thank you so much to everybody who was helping out with the news in particular, because it's been a heavy week, as we'll get to in a bit with the news. But yeah, just to finish off this section real quick, then I was covering the Midnight Walk, which is a game that I was very excited for since the first time we saw it. It is a first-person sort of horror stealth game with chunks of walking sim in there, as well as a little bit of like puzzling. Nothing too, exhaustive. Just kind of breaks up the flow of things a little bit. But it's the really exciting thing about it is it's a game from the studio called Moonhood, and it is entirely made out of clay. It is a claymation, stop motion animation production, basically, and all done in first person. So you're sort of walking around this fully, handcrafted environment of sort of clay everything, basically, as it were. You're going through sort of, tall, thin treed forests and, strange kind of dilapidated cities and all sorts of things. But they've all got this wonderful kind of like handcrafted feel to it, where you can really see where like things have been literally sculpted, by the people making this game. And it's this really fun story of like it's a very interesting thing. I didn't say it in my review. I try not to compare games directly with other games. I just I don't think it's necessarily the way to handle reviewing a game. But its sort of premise and a lot of the sort of the atmosphere and sort of setting of the game feels very quintessential of like Dark Souls in a funny way. Which led me to nearly running the joke of calling it the Dark Souls of stealth games or something daft like that, or walking sims. But I didn't. I refrained. But no, the whole point though is that you take on the role of someone called the Burnt One. You come across this little guy who's got a pot for a head, which holds fire in it, and he's called Pot Boy, and he runs around with you, and you go off on this adventure down the Midnight Walk, which is this sort of literal kind of like, I guess it's like it's a road, but it kind of behaves like an existential kind of like metaphorical journey, basically. The whole game takes a very kind of like steeped in mystery and shadows kind of approach to everything, in the same way that Souls games do when it comes to narrative. And this game in particular has kind of builds on those elements by talking about collectibles, like you were, Adam. There are 4 different types of collectibles, and all of them in some way or another fill out the lore a bit more, or kind of give grounding to like a mechanic in the game. So the one I used in my review as an example is, obviously you can get killed by these monsters that you have to try and avoid. There's no combat really in the game. You're just sneaking around, trying to not be seen, trying to light candles to draw their attention away from you, so you can sneak around the other way, or get a door to open before they catch you in time. There's chase sequences and little things like that, but otherwise, yeah, it's all quite slow, methodical, and very, very tense. At those moments, that's the idea. But you've got like these different collectibles, as I said, and some of them will then also tell you about like how they came into being, like how the creatures were created. Oh, and sorry, the mechanic, as I said, was that you respawn, and when you respawn, you step out of like a sarcophagus, basically, like the lid slams down and you walk out of it. And the first time that happened, I realized like, oh, that's actually how the game opens up, is you banging on the lid of something in front of you, and it falls away. You're all bleary-eyed. You stumble down this corridor, and you come across this other little figure who's just got a big head with brown eyes in it. And the first thing he does is, in his very kind of claymation animated sort of way, plucks out his eyes and hands them to you, as you then put them into your own head, so your camera clears up and you can see clearly. You walk forward some more, find another one who's got big ears, and of course he just removes his ears and hands them to you, and you do the same thing again. And I was wearing headphones, so I could hear as my left and then right headphone would become clearer with the sound around me and everything like that. And immediately playing with surround sound through the headset, very atmospheric, very kind of immersive feeling. Every creak of a floorboard or rustle of a tree had me sort of spinning using the controller to check what was going on, because I didn't know if it was going to be something trying to kill me, or just the wind. Like it's got that sort of vibe to it throughout, which is great. I really enjoyed the journey of it. As far as the narrative and stuff is concerned, I think it's really interesting in how it's layered. There's fables through each of these chapters that you go through that kind of string together to form a longer narrative. There's this whole kind of setup between the dark and fire and the light, and these sort of contrasting forces to a certain degree, and how people see them, and how they play out in these different stories, and then your interpretation of them. And then on top of that, there's like this interesting meta layer where everybody is aware that they have been created. They are aware that they're made out of clay, and that they live on something called the work table, the workbench. So there's this really interesting meta happening of obviously this project being handcrafted by developers for a video game, and the characters themselves are aware of the fact that they've been created for something. They don't mention they're in a video game. They're not breaking the fourth wall quite like that, but there is just this. It plays into a lot of the themes of the game and like something I wanted to highlight, because I thought it was interesting to see, as much as I may have not felt by the end of it that the game's narrative themes sort of caught me as much. That stood out to me as like that was really well done. Like, and you very seldom see that in video games, that level of like narrative, like just sort of and sort of world design and game design all coming together in a way that strengthens each other in a really cool way. And then, of course, just by sheer virtue of the sort of how it's been made, the animations and the world design, the character design, there's so much visually to love about this game, because every moment you're kind of reminding yourself like, Christ, this is all like real, like this is all made physically, this all exists somewhere, like as it were in a studio. This isn't just on a computer. So it's amazing just taking the time to look around and sort of look at cardboard cutout stars hanging from strings above you as you look across this sort of vista towards Moon Mountain, which is the sort of end goal and things like that. But yeah, I had a wonderful time with it. I reviewed it very highly. Go read the review to find out what that score is. And yes, I also did a bunch of guides for it.
You give yours away, Andy. No one needs to go read your review anymore.
No, I'm not giving them that. They got to go get that.
1.5.
But yeah, it was great fun. I really enjoyed it. I had great fun even doing the guides, as much as getting some of the last collectibles were a bit tougher. I'm glad I did it, and I hope that people find them useful. There's not many achievements for it. It's an easy game. It's a short game, but I definitely think it's worthwhile. And I definitely commend Moonhood on making something really special. We've seen other games done, using things like claymation, things like that. Harold Halibut being one of the ones that comes to mind immediately. But with this one, I think, and again, there's lots of different types of stop motion animation. They're from different schools and approaches, but there was something about this one that there were times when I was playing it, I was just like, it's crazy to think this has all been done using that technique, when it feels like, I know it is, because it's still that brilliant kind of slightly kind of unsettling kind of movement, but it's also got the smoothness of something that's been programmed to do that. And it's like, man, what a brilliant blend of these things. a mixed media piece that I haven't played really before. So yeah, really special. And yeah, those have been the games we've been playing. So let's move on to the news. The two things we wanted to talk about today would be, and we could do them in either order, I don't really mind, but of course, the announcement of the original Gears of War getting a second remaster. Is it a remaster remake? I'm not entirely sure on the if there's been a clarification.
Remaster.
It's a remaster again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's a remaster of the Ultimate Edition. So it's a remaster of a remaster.
Yeah, the remaster is getting remastered.
Which is interesting to say the least. But yeah, so and of course that is then also coming to PlayStation 5 at launch. And that was the sort of the big news about that. And because again, this was sort of the second worst kept secret probably in the industry after the Oblivion remaster. So yeah, and then our other story is of course talking about GTA 6. Does anybody have a preference? Anybody want to take the lead on any of these? Feel particularly strongly about anything here?
I feel quite strongly about the GTA one. No, not GTA. Gears one.
Okay.
Big Gears fan.
And
I'm not about to say they shouldn't be doing it. I couldn't care. That's my taking the lead on it. Is that I like I think it's great that I'm really excited because more people get to play an awesome game. And more people will be in the server, so I can play online with more people because those servers are dead. And I thought I want to try and get the seriously achievement, but 10,000 kills with no people to kill is quite hard. And I'm plus.
You want to bully people, Addy, that have not played the game before. That's what you want to do. Be honest.
I was just about to say I cannot wait till the 26th of August it comes out, and jumping in that weekend. It's Bank Holiday weekend. I am spending all my time chainsawing noobs. Is what I'm going to be doing. I can't wait. But I think it's great because I think they're obviously gearing up for. They're gonna I imagine the EA will probably come out on the PS5, whether it's on launch or down the line. But they're obviously getting people into the. It's a cheap entry point to the franchise. It's 40 quid. I think it's a free upgrade if you own it on the Xbox. Very nice, as well. And I think it gets people into the franchise and some of the lore. Maybe we see, if it goes well, do we see a Gears 2 and a 3 remaster? That'd be nice. But I think they're trying to get, because if you just drop Gears E-Day and it's a 80 quid game, are people on PlayStation going to pay 80 quid for a game that's not going to mean as much to them? We grew up with Gears on the 360. We played the first one, and when we watched that trailer, we talked about it and he was there, and Dob was there, and it was so the Mad World was playing, and oh my god, and he just it was that's how I felt, and I don't know if you've never played Gears, you're not gonna feel that, are you?
No.
So I think it's a franchise that deserves to be played, because I always worry when they get Gears 5 is fantastic, and I love Gears 4 as well. I love all the Gears, but people slam him, and I don't quite get why is that the definitive version of that game. What the problem is, okay, it's not as slow, and it feels more. You feel more weighty in the first one, don't you? But I don't know. But anyway, it just feels like more people should be playing it and not dunking on it. People just don't people like to dunk on things, don't they? But all the conversation, I'm rolling my eyes so far back into me, oh well, there's no reason to own an Xbox now. Oh, get over yourself. First of all. I'm honestly of the opinion that I used to be a bloody fanboy back when I was growing up, because you try and justify the only console you own, right? That's because you only get to play the games that are exclusive on your console, so you've got to convince yourself that that's the best place to play, and they're the best games to play. Fuck everyone else. You've got a shit console. They don't have a shit console. It's just different with different games. Go away. But the more we get closer to everybody getting the games, because it's so expensive now, and you need games to be successful, or studios get closed, and they get closed even if they are successful, so God knows. But for me, it's getting to the point where it shouldn't be the console exclusives that sell you on a console. The console should sell you on the console, because if the games are everywhere, it's gonna be like a phone. I can get Spotify on an Android, I can get Spotify on an iPhone, but which phone do I pick? Why do I pick the phone? Do I like the iOS? Do I like the camera? What's the reason for me to buy that device? I can get all the things I want on it I've got a maps app. I've got a camera. I've got music or whatever else. The phone should sell you it. So in the same way, it's going to get to the point, I think, where it's the console. The games will be everywhere, more or less. Because like I know there's some exclusive apps on phone, so maybe it's a bad analogy.
Of
but
course.
like the main thing is that why would you buy a console? So then there's innovation comes from the consoles. Look at the Switch 2. It does its own thing, and it gives you different ways to play. Take the controllers off, everyone can play. You got the motion stuff going on in there and that sort of thing. It's something different, and it'll force PlayStation and Microsoft to innovate the hardware, because then you've got because they said that the PS5 and the Xbox Series are very close to each other, not doing enough different, and that's why it's hard to distinguish. That's why people rely on the games, because the consoles themselves are almost indistinguishable. It's like, well, make them more interesting then, and you've got this conversation on hardware and the handhelds and all that sort of stuff. So like, I feel like that's where we're going, and that get over the there's no reason to own an Xbox because I've got 1,000 games in my backlog, in my catalog, in my library. I'm not getting rid of my Xbox. Do you know?
Yeah.
I'm not playing PC. So
it's all personal preference, isn't it? And I agree though. I would like to get, especially as the industry is struggling so much more. There's layoffs constantly for all these studios are closing and things like that. It's can we just kind of get rid of console exclusives and give the games and the studios the best chance humanly possible to turn a profit, so that we don't see all of these people losing their jobs. It's you're out here arguing about which plastic box is better, and people are losing their jobs. And okay, you got your exclusive or you got this, etc., etc. But what about when there's just no games left to play apart from GTA6, because it's not like Rockstar are going to go bust anytime soon, because all of the studios have closed down because no one can actually afford to keep making games. It's what exclusives are you going to have at that point? I'd rather just keep seeing really good games come out. I don't care where I play them.
Yeah. And to what you said earlier, Ali, about the price of things like that, and when it comes to the idea of here's the first Gears, so everyone on PlayStation can finally get a taste, and then we're going to drop E-Day, and that's going to go on to every platform as well, and that's a prequel. I agree that those fans probably don't have the same emotional ties. Hopefully they'll have such a good time with the first game. They'll be like, I just want to play more of this. I don't care if we're going backwards or forwards. It doesn't matter to me. I just want to play more Gears. But also, as far as price is concerned, I can see E-Day, again, if we're looking at the state of the industry and where it seems to be going, that E-Day will be one of many games that are coming out at £80, $80, whatever it is. And thus, it won't be so much a case of but the last one was only that much and this one's this much. Most people will now have either gotten used to this idea, or, as is no doubt the reason why Xbox will be doing this, is saying, hey, look, you can buy it $80 or £80 on a PlayStation, or you get Game Pass, as has always been the way, as has always been their goal, and hence the Play Anywhere and xCloud and all these different elements, all just
your TV is an Xbox.
An Xbox, that's a feature of the console, or your PC, or anything's an Xbox if it plays Game Pass.
Exactly.
PlayStation can't be an Xbox because it doesn't have Game Pass. There's a differentiation between the two.
Exactly. And that's it. You can have Xbox Game Pass run on your TV, but you're not going to be able to use Quick Resume. That's a feature that you can only get through the console, and that is one of the few things you can point to and go, that's a marketable element that you want to use to say this is why you buy an Xbox over a PlayStation. In the same way that PlayStation go, check out the DualSense. A lot of people like the Xbox controller. Xbox controller for me is still my preferred ergonomic feeling controller, but what the DualSense does, far more exciting and interesting than what the PlayStation Xbox controller does.
In theory, because we were chatting about this on the Discord the other day.
I don't care about the PlayStation controller at all.
Nobody uses the DualSense apart from it being smart rumble. It doesn't. There's not enough innovation with it's like with what happened with the Wii. If you weren't Nintendo, you weren't innovating with the features you give in your console, because either it was too much of a risk to develop for it, or you're porting from a PlayStation or an Xbox or PC version, so you didn't. All it was just waggling the thing around. Like it's the same thing with the DualSense. Like no one's using the microphone to blow something like other than Sony, right? Or like no one's using it other than the touchpad is a map. Like the tap it, there's a map. Like the rumble isn't like it. Like Returnal was amazing for that sort of stuff. It felt like you could feel the vibrations in different parts of it. But then
Astrobot's another example of that because the studio built the game to do that.
Yes, nobody else is doing it outside of Sony, and like whatever reason. So you've got, but again, if you then give these cool new features and encourage as a platform, like this is a reason people buy our console. Fuck it. Like, do you know what I mean? Like even the people who create it will be like inspiring and helping the developers to use those features because actually, why wouldn't they buy an Xbox then? Because you're not using the DualSense. Do you know what I mean? Or whatever it is.
Absolutely. Yeah. I completely agree. And again, I think we're all in agreement here that ultimately Gears going to PlayStation is not a big deal as far as what it means to any of us here. It's a milestone in history. It's an event that people will remember. But ultimately, if it means that we're going to get more games from that team, if we're going to get more Gears, if more people are going to be playing Gears, all the rest of it, surely it's a positive, and surely we can all kind of come to agreement around that.
You don't understand. It's like all loads of stuff like this. It's like if it doesn't affect you, it doesn't stop Gears being available to you now. Like if you're put out by going onto PlayStation, have a word with yourself, is what I would say, because it's like you can still play Gears. It's still there for you. No one's taking it away from you. It just means that other people can play the thing that you.
It means there's more people to play with, as you said. Like I've only ever played Gears 1. Gears is like a massive gap in my Xbox history. Like, but I've only ever played the first one. So I'm very excited to jump back into the first one and play with other people and things like that. Like, so why would you be mad that you get to play with more of your friends?
I talk to people about Gears and they don't have an Xbox. I'll say, well, get an Xbox to play it, sort of thing, or find a way to borrow an Xbox. Like I don't work for Microsoft. I just want people to play the game. What's an easy solution to that? Make the game available in other places. Like I don't like it. Yeah.
No, you're right. You know, no one's taking it away from you. No one's taking your Gears away. But Rockstar is taking Grand Theft Auto 6 away from you for at least another year, everybody, I'm afraid. So yeah, that we're gonna have to contend with.
What a segue.
Hey, you were gonna let me do it. I was gonna force my way in eventually. Yeah. I tried to set it up, and then Addy continued, and I was like, right, fine. And then he said down, I'm like, oh, I can use that. And then never mind. Anyway, I had to brute force this one, I'm afraid. I took a chainsaw. I took what's the gun called? The what do they call it? The Lancer. That's the one. Yeah.
Oh, we're going back to Gears. I've got some other things.
No. I was throwing you. Yeah. Well, no. Of course, yeah. The news is, of course, this week that GTA 6 will be releasing in 2026. More specifically, the 26th of May, 2026.
Yeah, I did not think it was coming out this year.
Our resident prophet.
I should put it out there. I don't think it's going to launch on the 26th of May.
Well, look, let's get to this bit of news first. Okay, we'll tackle that maybe in a bit. Yeah, but let's get through the actual.
We'll do Addy's predictions of what games are being cancelled and what's being moved, and the fact that GTA 6 actually just doesn't exist.
Addy's gaming crystal ball. Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. But yes, the news is alongside a new trailer, of course, that everyone has been gawping over since it dropped. I think it broke records within an hour or so, or something mad like that, as far as comments and likes and all manner of other things. Yeah. But yes, GTA 6, it's happening, just not yet. Did you guys both have a look at the trailer?
Yeah.
I did not. I always say another gaming gap for me is I do not care about Grand Theft Auto. Like it is just not my type of game at all. And I have told an employee, a lead product manager from Rockstar this at a house party once. He was fine with it. He was completely fine. He was like, yeah, like it makes a lot of money, and I was like, no, congratulations, fair play. But I enjoyed San Andreas and then never played another one.
Vice City for me. I played Vice City. Really enjoyed GTA 3, Vice City. Then there was technically they're always very impressive. Like you think of San Andreas on the PS2, fair enough. That's a lot of game to put on a disc, right?
Hell yeah.
And but it just there's too much faff. oh, I've eaten too much, I need to go bicycling, and now I've bicycled too much because I ain't eating enough, and it's like... What's this about human people?
I don't think
Like,
they do that
yeah.
anymore. I don't
Yeah.
think any
No,
of them. You
Yeah,
can't,
do you know what I
you
mean? There's a
can't
lot
get
of
fat
blood,
anymore.
like, hey Nico, you want to go bowling? Like, nobody cares.
Yeah, yeah.
Stop, Roman. I don't, like, I try. I bought
For-
GTA 5 like 7 times. Like, I don't...
You're part of the problem.
I'm not a problem. I do. I've given Rockstar money multiple
Yeah.
times.
Oh dear. No, I'm like you guys. I grew up with. I played the top-down ones originally, the Grand Theft Auto and things like that back on the PS1. But then, yeah, obviously remember playing GTA 3 and Vice City and San Andreas, like to the like with all of them, just hundreds and hundreds of hours in all three of them. Even just going back just to do daft stuff again, like go and do taxi runs or whatever nonsense I could think of, frankly. But yeah, I love playing those three in particular. And then 4, yeah, it just didn't hit for me. I didn't really like anybody in it. Didn't really feel like the story was that exciting or enticing. Much of the extra like social mechanics, like your cousin and all the rest of it, I was just like, I don't fucking care. I don't want this. And then looking at GTA 5, originally I was like, this looks really exciting. We're returning to Liberty City, which is cool. We've got the 3 protagonists to choose from or play as. It's talking about heists a lot and everything like that. And I was like, this is going to be really exciting. And then when it came out, and then they obviously talked about GTA Online and all the rest of it, I just found myself getting more and more disillusioned with it and the idea of it until eventually I realized that there was very little to do with actual heists in the game at all, especially to the extent that I thought we were going to be getting, where it was like, you go out and do a bunch of like different types of missions to try and set it up beforehand to give yourself different like advantages or change the situation for when you get to the heist or whatever it might be. And there just didn't seem to be nearly as much of that as I thought there would be. And so I was like, okay.
Yeah, I think that's all in the online, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah, they literally all just got like off onto the online, which I'm like, great. That's the one bit I don't want to play because I hate the idea of playing with other people online in my version of this Liberty City. Like, I don't want that. And thus I was like, yeah, none of this speaks to me anymore. It's impressive. It looks great. I've watched my mates play it. It's great fun. I love listening to the radio still because it's so funny and it's got brilliant soundtracks. But ultimately, the gameplay of my band, I'm just like, yeah, I don't care that I can go and play golf or tennis or own a club and a casino and a car dealership and it's just like there's too many things, there's too many businesses, there's all this other stuff I don't care about. Like, I want to rob banks. That's what I want to do. And so with GTA 6,
GTA is like this. It's like The Sims, isn't it? It's like one of those games like The Sims.
Literally.
It's just like if you are into it, and actually, as someone who could play The Sims for like 24 hours straight, if I was in the mood for just burning loads of things alive, could definitely do that. But it is a bit like that. It's like people don't. Well, and I know some people do really appreciate a lot of the stories and stuff like that in it, especially like the side content. And a lot of them is just super fun.
Yeah.
But it is like fuck about simulator essentially, like, but people have loads and loads of fun with it, which I think is great. I like the fact that people are really excited for GTA 6. I would never, I'm not dropping £100 on a standard version of a game. That's a step too far. I mean, obviously that's not been confirmed, but that's like,
no, we don't know that yet.
No.
But it's
$2 billion to make, though. It's not going to be cheap, is it?
They'll go for the they'll go
the more
for the
people
80.
talk about it,
They'll go for the 80, I think.
Take Two, historically the greediest company ever.
Sell it again, and then again, and then again.
Well, that's it. They'll know that they can guarantee they'll get more sales if they go to 80 than 100. I don't think they can guarantee they'll get the same amount of sales if they went up to 100 from 80. But also then they know, of course, that online's where they're going to make all the money. That's always where it's been. So the fact that it will end up having a base version probably that will come out down the line after they've put out some expansions for and things like that. That version will go down to like 50 or something like that. And suddenly your entry level one's costing you 50 quid, and they're then raking it in on the shark cards or whatever they call them this time. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I'm excited for this one because again, I love Vice City. I love Vice City, and I like the looks of the characters. Again, the visuals, all the rest of it, very exciting to me. I'm always more interested in a interesting art style and aesthetic. So visual fidelity and realism, very cool. Great guys, well done. Not something that turns me on. But the fact that we've got this whole like Bonnie and Clyde thing going on, they do seem to be actually doing a bunch of crimes all the time. and then having sex every other scene. It seems, according to the trailer as well. It's like I can get behind this. This seems like a cool setup. I like this. You know.
He's playing a game where you run around as a fox and a bird. Different world is that.
It's the beauty of video games, Annie. Yeah. It's the beauty of video games.
I didn't say I was against GTA 6. I'm just saying it's a bit of a contrast. Is like what I say.
Definitely.
It looks impressive. Like I said,
it looks fantastic.
It looks amazing. And they said they came out and clarified that it's a mix of gameplay and cutscenes, which was like.
Well, and the gameplay was recorded on a base PS5.
Apparently so. Yeah. Yeah. That was clarified, wasn't it?
Which told me, because they didn't talk about a PS5 Pro version. But they just said that there's another PS5. So, like, there's got to be classic Rockstar. There'll be a PS5 Pro edition upgrade.
Yeah, there'll be an upgrade.
And then...
And they'll just release it again for PS5 Pro only, like a year later, for full price. Like,
and then when the PS6 comes out, they'll release an updated version for that, like they did with the last one, and then because they were meant to do single player DLC for GTA 5, and they abandoned it, didn't they?
Oh yeah,
because the online made too much money.
That was meant to be all like the heists and everything was, and then that all got shoved onto the online. Yeah. So we'll see.
It's more interesting the fact that if we're going to see loads of things move their date around now towards the end of the year.
Yes.
Because it's like there's so much coming out this month. Like this month is absolutely packed, and there's like a lot of really interesting stuff coming out next month in sort of July. But there's like sort of larger titles don't necessarily have confirmed dates, and it's a bit like maybe this. Presumably, all the game companies are just like, oh my God, Rockstar, can you just give us a break and just tell us when it's coming out so we can try and plan our release schedule around what will be one of the biggest launches of games ever.
Nothing's coming out next year.
No.
Not like at the end of May, it's coming out, apparently. If it does. I think October. But if it does, then nothing's going to release in June, July, August. Like some indies will come out, whatever. But like no games are coming out that time.
No. We can guarantee one. We can guarantee one. And I'd love, again, we do not have the technical capabilities because I am not savvy enough at this yet. But we will get there one day. Maybe we'll do this as a Shores or something like that. We could do it there. But Devolver Digital purposely retweeted them, being like, "You can't escape us." 2026, 26th of May. We'll see you there.
I imagine now we're going to get absolutely inundated with release dates, though, like a Summer Games Fest.
Yes.
With all the shows.
Yes.
Because now people feel like we can release some. We can actually put some dates out because they were waiting on.
Get an end card in there. When replace that key art that said like fall 2025. Get that date in. Like,
I agree. I think it could be quite a busy period in July just for dates, because there'll be people who are like, we can now drop it in September or something like that, and it's like, oh shit, the calendar's going to fill up suddenly like that. Because right now we've got Borderlands 4 I think was one of the only big AAA titles that was announced for what is technically the second half of the year, and that's because again it's another title that's published by Take-Two, isn't it?
2K.
Is it 2K? Oh, is it 2K? Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, Borderlands not still owned by like Epic.
No.
It was 2K, yeah. It was Gearbox, wasn't it, before?
It was. Yeah.
Oh, I have no idea.
Anyway,
they moved. Because Ghost of Yotei got announced, and then Borderlands 4 moved, and they were like, "Oh, it's GTA." They must know GTA is like, no, they knew they do two big open world games launching a week within each other.
Yeah,
they get Titanfall 2 again. They're not doing that. Move it away.
Yeah, exactly. So Ghost of Yotei, Borderlands 4, Outer Worlds 2, I think is like probably a good.
There was it's just there.
Yeah, we don't have a date for it, but I feel like it's a pretty good certainty that's going to come out this year, because we're not getting Fable.
October.
Yeah. but yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the second half of this year pans out. This first half has been stacked, and we're not yet finished. We've still got May and June to go. May is super busy. We've got Doom: The Dark Ages, and then we've got things like June Awakening and stuff like that coming out in June. Um, but yeah, and that's only on the AAA side of things. Like we obviously over at Game Social Club, we try to cover as much as we can, and we love our indies, so we're always looking out for that sort of stuff. And like just today, one of the games I'm really excited for, 3D platformer in the style of like Banjo-Kazooie's and stuff like that of yesteryear, a game called Paper Clay, dropped its release date, which is later this month on the 27th, and I was like, oh, that's fantastic. But then also it's another game that's coming out in the next 2 months. I'm like, God damn it! Like,
give me a break.
yeah. I wanted.
Maybe we should.
I messaged.
Shrek. Can you stop releasing games for 5 minutes?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, again, I interviewed the developer of the game a couple of months ago, so I dropped him a message on Discord being like, "Congrats on the announcement and everything like that." And I thought like I should have followed up as like, you couldn't have put it like a month out later or something like that, just for the sake of us. But never mind.
Maybe it's a good thing. There'll not be a huge amount of games coming out June, July, August next year. GTA 6 will finally allow me to clear some of my backlog and go through my Steam wish list and play all of the little indie titles that I currently don't have time to look at because we've got so much coverage to do for the site. I'll be like, finally, a little bit of peace.
One day, yeah, we'll have
Yeah.
that piece. That'll be nice. But yeah, again, obviously it's exciting. It's a landmark event in gaming, in media. It's going to make more money than God. GTA 6. Obviously, we'll everything is now measured by its distance from that day, basically. Where were you when GTA 6 was released?
I do hope that it's fantastic for all the people that are looking forward to it.
Yeah,
definitely.
It's not really my interest sphere, but for the people that are looking forward to it, this is like their gaming like mecca. It's like, oh my god, it's GTA 6. So I hope it's a banger for everyone that's looking forward to it.
Yeah. Definitely.
And I hope the characters don't will move like the souls leave the body when they get caught on like the tiniest little thing. It really winds me up. Like, oh, I've fallen down. Like, really winds me up. Like, I was about to jump over a fence and I'm upside down and a policeman's killing me. Like, what the fuck was that?
Oh dear. I think you'll find there'll probably be a lot of people who are like, no, we want that. That's exactly what we want it. Similar to Bethesda, Jack, isn't it?
Addy, you don't want it. Like you don't care about GTA. Like gotta cater to the fans. Like
yeah, keep them happy, keep them keen. But yeah, those have been the two biggest stories definitely of this week. Certainly, I think. There have been other bits, but we have covered most of that over on the site. I
was going to say one of the big beats of news for us as a site was the exclusive that we had from Microsoft about their kind of physical
media
print.
You're absolutely right.
It's been long thought by lots of indie publishers and stuff, and limited run game type things where they do physical editions. That there's been like you have to have a minimum number to be able to order them from Microsoft, I think. And then a lot of people said, well, we can't do it because we can't guarantee we'll sell them, or we can't afford to get that many, so we won't do it. And then Dano has been in touch with Microsoft, and we got an official comment saying there is no limit. You can order what you want, sort of thing.
Yeah. Just for you and your friends, order half a dozen or something, just for you and your mates.
Try and get some ordered, go around the game.
Yeah,
I think it's quite interesting that obviously the policy used to be that the minimum order quantities were quite strict.
Yes.
And it just has obviously been very badly communicated because a lot of smaller studios and stuff like that were of the opinion that the previous policy was still in place.
Yeah.
But it was nice to see that, sort of blew up a little bit when Dano got the scoop on it, and then people were tagging like devs in the tweet being like, oh, actually, because they're like, oh no, we can't do a physical release on Xbox because of this. And it's like, turns out you can. And they're like, oh, that's super exciting. We're going to get back in touch with the Xbox team to see if we can get that. And I'm like, my house is full of stuff, so I'm never going to have a massive physical games collection ever again, because I get like, where? And obviously Harry keeps tagging me in like coffee table books that I am obligated to buy, and one day will all fall on top of me and I will die because I live alone and no one's going to come and find me.
It's a very nice Animal Well one, though, isn't it? It's a very nice one.
I have already pre-ordered it. Don't send me more links. I will be bankrupt. Like,
well done.
But like for people that are like super into their physical media, which I know like Dano definitely is, and I know Mark from the site also is, it's super exciting for them if they can get more of their favorite games in physical. So yeah, I'm excited for that. It was a really good get from Dano, which I think he just got by continually messaging and being like, hi, I love I love video games. Please tell me, why can't I buy physical versions of my games, please? Like,
hey, it worked. It worked.
Yeah.
And there you go. Sometimes we do get a bit of a scoop, which is quite exciting. You know, we are trying our best, you know, to find the real news and bring it to you. So yeah, consider you know, following us on the site and everything like that as well. You can even just subscribe by email and you'll get it sent straight to you. So, you know, hey, options.
Sorry for the email you've got today with 27 guides for Spirit of the North.
Yeah, I realized that after as well, and I'm like, we need to figure this out. we turned off the social media posts, but then we're like, oh, we still sent all the emails out though. Oh no.
Oh yeah, good shout. I forgot about that. Well, it's good to know what's out there.
Exactly. Anyway, we're gonna close out the show now with what we always close it out with, which is what we are looking forward to. And things like GTA 6, we can still look forward to them, but they're a little bit further away now than we thought they would be. Well, some of us thought. But there are still games coming up. You know, we've always had a big bunch of new additions to things like Game Pass, and PS Plus gets the occasional, you know, update as well, which is great. So there's a lot of new stuff to enjoy. It's particularly the 3 games that we've just been talking about earlier. But you know, around the corner we've got the next big game, Doom: The Dark Ages, which I think everybody, at least on this show, is probably excited for. I certainly am.
There's a shield that is also a chainsaw. That's all they had to say. It's literally all they had to say. I watched it in a hotel lobby in Spain with my dad and my sister, and I was like, chainsaw shield! And my sister was like, what is wrong with her? And my dad was like, he was like, are you watching, is it the game thing you were talking about yesterday? And I was like, yes, chainsaw shield and Doom. And he was like, okay, well done. Yeah, okay, we're going to the bar now. Like, pick me up and take me into the bar. Just furnish me with a pint. As I'm like, so I'm very excited.
I was absolutely thrilled when, you know, that first trailer was dropped, and I loved that whole scene of him getting, you know, geared up with his fur cloak and everything like that. I thought that was whole thing was done so well. And then immediately when I saw the grinding skull gun, I was like, yeah, I'm in, like, without a doubt. Because I didn't like Eternal. I found the movement, like a lot of people did, the traversal movement, I found it way too much. Couldn't keep up with what the game needed of me. Way too much swinging about and, you know, diving into enemies to jump away from to another one and stuff like that. I'm like, nope. My Doom guy doesn't do that. He likes to walk around with a gun, occasionally punching things if they get too close. But otherwise, yeah, much more like classic Doom 2016. Like that's my Doom, as it were. So this one I'm interested to see. I know they said it's much more like a sort of stand your ground style. So I'm like, I can get behind that. But
there's also a dragon.
There's also a dragon. There's also a mech. Like there's
there's a mech and a dragon.
That was it. That was when they did that trailer. They were literally just like, oh, and this, and it's like, oh wow, okay. So yeah, very excited for that. At least I certainly am. Is anybody else excited for anything, or do they want to talk a bit more about Doom?
Well, we'll have plenty of Doom chat, I think, probably next week after it releases. Because I'm sure people will then have played it, so that we can be like, yes, we can confirm that the chainsaw shield is super fucking cool. Like,
That's it. 10 out of 10. Chainsaw shield is cool.
Yeah. 10 out of 10. Chainsaw Shield is cool, plus a dragon and also mech. Yay. Like, I'm a very simple woman. I have very simple tastes.
Violence. That's what it is.
I'm glad that you've all picked up on this.
Yeah, definitely. Well, yeah, we'll no doubt bring you some coverage on that next week, and we'll be talking about it and all sorts. And there'll be plenty of other things that we're going to be covering as well. So please do consider, coming to the site, checking us out, see what we've got to offer. And I said at the top of this show, but I will say it again as we're about to sign off with our last thoughts and all the rest of it. But yeah, if you've got any ideas or thoughts about what you'd like from us here on the show, or any ideas you'd have for the Gaming Social Club as far as other things on the YouTube channel or even for the site, we've got things like the demo disc going where we cover month we get to sort of a dozen or so demos to try out basically, or on here we obviously do our news weekly podcast, but would you want us to do maybe a deep dive on a game that's come out recently? A lot of people have been talking about, see, Clarifies Expedition 33. A bunch of us have played it here. Adam, I know it's on your list. I can imagine it's pretty close to the top. So if you got round to it, maybe we could all sit down together and do a one-off deep dive on that, for example. If people are interested.
Thing.
Sorry, what was that?
Like a spoiler cast type thing when we go
exactly.
Into the top.
Exactly. Yeah. We'll come up with some fun name for it. And you guys can, maybe even.
I just that came out and I wanted to play it, and then I started doing Spirit of the North 2 and it pissed me off. So I was like, I've been playing this 10 out of 10 game, but no, I'm a fox who can't climb up a wall, for crying out loud.
Well, yeah, and I must throw up my hands because again, I did say last week that I'd have my review out for it, and of course I didn't, because I did then get the Midnight Walk, and I had to focus on that, I'm afraid, and get my 10 or so guides out alongside the review. So
it's just not good enough.
I
to
know.
be honest,
I am on the call with the reviews editor right now, and it's not looking good. But thankfully, the guides editor is really happy. So all things thumbs up.
Not fucking news from you in months.
Dear me. Well, yeah, so there will be more coming from us, or you'll be getting my review on Expedition 33. We'll be covering all manner of other things coming up in the future. So yeah, thank you everybody for joining us. We will be back here next week, hopefully as a quartet again, and we'll have more news and exciting things to talk about with you then. But yeah, as I said, check us out on our website, check out the YouTube channel. You already found this, so hopefully you can find the rest of it. It's all in the description below, as we said. And yeah, take care of yourselves, everybody. Play some cool games, and we will see you again soon. Bye-bye.
I'm not a cat.
Couldn't just let it be.